So my guest today is Denisse Goldfarb, Chief People Officer for Walmart Chile. Denisse, it's so great to see you. We first met when my most memorable event is when we had a chance to be on stage together at a Singularity University event in Chile. And I was fascinated by your perspective, especially because you've got an organizational development background, and now you've also been acquiring an MBA aside from everything else that you're doing. And so I wanted to just understand some of your perspective as we're seeing this, this what I call the Great Reset after hopefully the recovery from the pandemic era. What do you think? How do organizations start to get their arms around this process of helping to ensure that people are developing the skills, that you're developing a culture of learning inside the organization? Is there any advice you can give others that are trying to build a culture of learning in their organizations for just one or two things that they could focus on to try to do that?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Gary, for inviting me to having this conversation. I really see a lot of opportunities with the pandemic. The coronavirus, for me, it has been the best ever digital transformation consultant in the history. So we were all having to accelerate our business and our organizational cultures due to the pandemic, due to the quarantines. And this has accelerated on how we adopt new ways of working. So I think it has been really a great opportunity. And all the companies, not just an industry, we have to open our eyes and really understand that the future has changed, and that we need to make a very fast adoption on this new reality that came with the pandemic. And I think that one of the biggest learnings here is that you must adapt fast to what's happening in your environment. And what do you require to adapt fast to that changing environment is that you have to learn, and that you need to be a lifelong learner. And I think that the main lesson here is that the learner, it's not only the individual, it has to be the teams and the organizations. So how you can become a learning organization, I think it was one of the main questions that we all have. And due to our experience here at Walmart Chile, to make a very, very quick summary on Walmart Chile, we have 45,000 employees. So we're a big organization here. And we need to move very fast because the e-commerce has accelerated 5 times. So we needed really to adopt new skills, to learn new ways of how we need to serve our customers. And we needed to do this acceleration both in the stores and also in our headquarters, attracting also and developing new digital talent. So I think that we went into this acceleration, this digital acceleration, and learning became a top priority in our agenda. We invested a lot on turning the physical trainings into the digital trainings. We set up some new alliances with some providers around the world, LinkedIn Learning, Exec Online, and others like that. And you know that it was incredible and amazing how people were so connected with this new need on we need to learn and we need to evolve. If I don't evolve, I'm going to maybe to be out of the company because we're not going to be there and we're not going to meet the needs that the customers and our organization needs. So I think that really to make this change of the mindset, to redesign your processes, and also to take this contact with each employee on how they need to make an internal transformation. It's the key point of having this new reality.
So no, I think that's marvelous because I certainly, so many of the people and organizations I spoke to, pre-pandemic, there were a lot of questions about just how rapidly we as humans can adapt and how much you can try to, as a chief people officer, try to convince the organization to invest in learning everything about the individual commitment, the team commitment, the organizational commitment to the cost of that, but then also hopefully sign up for what the potential benefits could be. And there was a lot of pushback. There was a lot of people saying, no, we can't change that fast. Well, I think we learned very, very quickly just how rapidly we as humans can adapt when we have to adapt. And so my biggest question is, well, so do you think that's going to be just a warm halo from the pandemic here, and then it's going to just eventually just decay, and then people will go back to their old ways? Or do you think that you can put processes in place to ensure this is going to continue, and that you'll continue to have the investment from those who lead the organization, that they're going to continually support this process of lifelong learning?
I think that many things are going to change forever here, Gary. I don't think that we're going to get back. I think that remote work, for those positions that can make remote work, it's going to stay. And if you see the service of what the people, that the employees want, they want to have the remote option to work from their home. So that's a thing I think it's going to stay. And now you've seen that one of the new requirements of people to make a post to a company, it's they're going to ask about flexibility. If the company that doesn't offer enough flexibility, they're going to choose other companies. So I think it's going to be one of the new deal breakers. So I think it's going to stay. And I think now the companies are looking for what's maybe the composition of this flexibility on how many time to work at the offices, because it's also very important to be at the office, to have this face-to-face interaction. And people also want to have that interaction with your teams, but they also want to stay at home and to be there and have the best of the two realities of offices and also to have remote work. And regarding learning, I think, Gary, it's also going to stay. I think that the new generations are more open to this learner mode, and maybe the older generations. And I myself, I am one of the older generations. I'm Gen X. And I grew up with the idea that I need to go to the university to hold my diploma, my pre-graduate diploma, and that was going to last forever. And no, I really needed to reinvent myself. I entered myself to an MBA at 42 years old. So I think we all need to reinvent ourselves and really to be continuous learners. And I think it's going to be harder maybe to the older generations to understand that now you need to evolve all the time, and you are the one that need to evolve and to fit with what the world requires from you. So I think that we are going really to make a big change there. And also around how I'm going to work, because maybe many of us are working as FTEs, and we are going into the gig economy. So we need also to view ourselves as nomads, and maybe we're going to have 2 or 3 employers. So I think that to be lifelong learner, to have maybe more than one employer, it's going to be the new reality. So that's going to stay. And what's other thing that's very new is that how I can compensate also of having maybe more time dedicated to learning. I have full meetings, so how I can have balance and how I can care about well-being. So I think that's a very, very strong new topic on the business agenda, on how you can ensure a learning environment, but also how you can care about people and how you care about their well-being and the mental health.
Now, you just added a laundry list of so many things now that are on the shoulders of those who lead in HR departments. You've just expanded the job description for what HR is responsible for. How do you think about that skill set and the way that those who lead in HR groups, what are some of the things they need to do to make sure that they are continually expanding their own capacity to be able to deal with all this change? Because now there's so many responsibilities, there's so many different facets of the diamond of the talent experience that they're responsible for. That's just a lot more workload than there was before the pandemic.
I think that the role of HR has evolved. HR now has a very, very leading role in this pandemic and also in digital transformations. And I think that they need to be at the think tanks or at the heart of all the transformation in the company. When you see business transformation, you cannot think about including HR at the end, because we need to maybe to make a training or we need to make a communication plan. You need to be there from the beginning. Yeah. So how you have HR at the center of all the changes and at the same side as the business, I think it's really very important. And another reason of this, Gary, is because when you're caring about the customer experience, you first need to care about the employee experience. They're really connected. So you can't think on maybe I'm going to make a big investment on technology, on new systems, on AI regarding our customers, and not caring about your internal transformation. So for us, that has been very, very important. And I think that the new skills that HR will need to evolve, it's first to be really a change agent, to have a deep understanding of the business. So business acumen, it's going to be another very, very important competence here. Empathy, I think also, maybe it has been a historic skill, but I think that we should evolve that empathy to the business, to our employees, to our communities, and maybe to think much more in our stakeholders and how you can have a balance on meeting the needs of all those stakeholders. And empathy about what are going to be the new requirements of the new talents. As I was telling, maybe the new deal breaker, it's going to be about flexibility. You need to understand what is going to be needed from the business, from your customers. So I think that you need to have that. So to be change agent, business acumen, and empathy.
So our time together is just way too short, but one more question for you. What happens in many organizations is that the people that are asking for the biggest changes are the young people that are coming into the organization. Yeah. Do you believe that are there additional requirements that you're hearing from young people, or is it this flexibility and the ability to be able to help them to match their skills to the problems in the organization? Is that really what you're hearing the majority of the young people want? Because they often, what we're hearing in a lot of other organizations is, they want to feel that what they're doing has an impact, or that there's some kind of purpose, or it's contributing to something, creating some value. So are you hearing different requirements from them, and how are you meeting those needs?
Yeah. Well, some important facts here, Gary, it's that by the year 2025, 75% of all the workforce are going to be millennials. And now we have also the new generation, the centennials. So we're going to have a lot of young people leading the companies. I think that flexibility, they are going to ask for flexibility. So I think that that's going to be really a differentiating factor between the companies. And you know that some of the studies of what has happened with the pandemic shows that one of the most impacted segments of all the employees are the generation centennials, the younger people that they are entering into the workforce and they don't know each other. So they have been very impacted on their mental health. So I think that to care and to really understand how to connect with these new generations, that they are maybe having their first job and they don't understand, they are working remotely and they really have a lot of anxiety on how they can gain experience. I think that we really need to understand how we can help this new generation that maybe they have a different environment on working on having their first job. Also, I think that career progression is going to have a big change. You know that the youngest people, they don't want to be, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years in the same job. No, I don't want to get stuck in one role for 5 years. So I think that from the companies, we need also to rethink about career progression, because they are going to ask to have a faster career progression that we offer at these days.
Yeah, well, if there's any theme I think we can take away, it's that the speed is accelerated. Speed of
Yeah.
application, the speed of career pathing, sort of across the board. So, well, Denisse, this has been marvelous. It's wonderful to catch up. Thank you so much for your perspective, and best of luck.
Thank you, Gary. Have a nice day. Bye.
You too.